Anybody waiting, so I thought we'd start. I'm going to share my screen. So here we go. Candy, you want to talk about yours?
Wow.
There's not much to say. I actually, I did the cup separately a couple years ago, and then I tweaked it with the flowers and the heart on top. It's called My Cup Runneth Over with Love. I just kind of threw that together for Valentine's Day this year and tweaked it a little bit and sent it to Chris for the Facebook page. But it's mixed media. It's mixed media. This one, Ready for Sunshine in Spring, it was on that day when it was freezing cold and snow and miserable everywhere. And I was so cold. I was like, I just had thoughts of spring in my head. So I literally threw this together. And again, mixed media. It really warmed me up. I was able to achieve that sunshine look, and I thought that's it. That's what I need.
Okay, Ruth isn't here, but these are the projects that we did at the AIM session. So all of the art information meeting. And here's another one of hers. She got in the Valentine's Day mood. She actually has another class right now.
Wow, that's cool.
That's pretty.
That's pretty, yeah.
She likes her gold.
Yes, she does.
And,
that's nice.
I don't think Dawn's here either, but
that's super cool.
Yeah, isn't that something?
Yeah.
I think those are cookies.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I could never do that.
Oh.
Maggie's not here either yet. But this is one she did at AIM. This is one I did with my
That's very nice.
computer printed hearts.
That's
like I said last time, the computer ink, the laser printer ink repels the pearlescent watercolor, so it makes it easy to stay in the space.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah, that's neat.
Now, I tried the watercolor, shaving the little bits of the watercolor pencil, and I misted it and misted it and misted it and kept it wet all the time. And when it was all dry, I sprayed it with clear acrylic. And if you take a Kleenex and you wipe gently on it, you'll get color off of it. So I'm very disappointed that it doesn't, the color didn't melt into the wet paper like I thought it would. So I'm not sure I'll do that again unless anybody has a suggestion how that might work better.
What quality pencil were you using?
My cheap set of 12.
That's the problem.
Think so? Okay.
You could try wax over it. That might seal it. It
Yeah,
might
that's
also,
true.
depending on the pencils, it might disturb what's there. I don't know. It's trial and error.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
how
nice.
pretty. Oh, that's Bev's.
That was just a bouquet for Valentine's Day, and my colors are blue, so had to have a bit blue.
Blue, pretty.
Very nice. Oh, Chris.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, I love that.
Chris, are you there? You want to say something?
I am. I'm sorry. Those three are, oh, that says it. They're chicken eggs. The one in the bottom is a brown chicken egg. And so
I love that.
the darker brown was the natural color of the shell.
Oh.
And then you etch it using I use an acid to etch it to get the lighter color, and then I dyed it. I forget what color I dyed it. I think it was called teal, but it didn't look like teal to me. But anyway. so-
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Those are
Pretty.
nice.
That's a lot of work for one egg.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Ah,
okay, that was so that's a piece of jewelry that I did because Candy asked me if I could do an elephant, so I did an elephant.
oh,
And so you do the pasanki on the eggshell, and then you cut it out of the eggshell using a Dremel drill with a diamond point, a blade, and then you resin it. So it's very hard. It's
Yeah.
not, if you drop it on the floor, it won't break. And I know that because I have dropped these on the floor. They don't break. If you stomped on it, it would probably break, but just dropping it doesn't break.
I need to get with you about buying
Oh
that.
my God,
Oh.
look at that.
Ah,
My gosh, you're
oh.
so cute.
Can
It is.
anybody tell me what a rigger is? That's what Diana wrote to me that she used, but I have no idea.
Very, very
A
fine,
rigger is,
very
oh,
fine point.
Very fine.
usually very long threads, like long,
thread and fine tip, yes.
and it's
Yeah.
used to do the riggings on ships
Okay.
initially. Yeah.
That's super cute.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
neat.
pretty.
That's
Wow.
cute.
And it looks like the cloud is full.
I love that.
That's beautiful.
Very nice.
Did you hear my voice?
Yes.
No. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
I heard.
Yes.
Because my screen looks different this week, so I didn't know if I put buttons I pressed if they were right or not.
Who's the model for this picture?
Their imagination.
Oh,
So, we always see pictures of skydivers in the magazines and stuff. So that's me.
oh, that's cool.
Anything that's 5 foot or so and chubby is me.
Oh, you're so cute.
What kind of paper is that on?
That's watercolor paper.
Just watercolor, good paper, good. Beautiful.
Nice
It's only
sky.
watercolor, yeah.
I love this sky.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
On the left is watercolor and on the right is acrylic.
Oh,
Those
beautiful.
are nice.
beautiful. Wow.
So so you see it's illustrations on a poem.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
So I didn't know that this would be a Valentine's Day theme, but this is we were gonna do the black picture of the moon. So I thought sky pictures might be of interest to you. But all the way in the blue part of the sky are little fish.
Oh,
So in the poem, that kind of
Yeah, I
explains.
see. And I see on the old moon left, you put all those starfish, which is an irony with the star of the sky in the night. That's
Yeah.
super cool too.
And
Very
that
nice.
the design of the water is, I was inspired by the Japanese type embroidery. That's,
Oh, yeah.
you might be familiar with it.
Yes.
It's on denim and it's white thread on denim. And it's
Yes.
really beautiful. So I thought, well,
oh.
and I don't remember if that's a black sky. I
Okay.
shortcut, I don't always mix for black.
About
Sometimes
the-
I just use black, but I would think I would have mixed some blue in it because it is sky.
You're talking about the stitching. Is that the sashiko stitching?
Yes. mhm.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Beautiful.
So
Thanks, Pat.
what you can't do with a needle, you could do with a paintbrush.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
that's so pretty.
Lovely.
Lori, this
Oh,
is so
Actually, in my-
beautiful.
In my
Oh,
nature journal, and it has a seam in the middle, but then with Photoshop, I take the seam out, so it looks better.
Beautiful. And I love you put the black and white here and oh, beautiful.
Yeah, the black and white is just pencil.
No, I know. I love the putting them together.
Yeah, I
Yes.
thought
Really
it was fun
nice.
to mix the
Watercolor?
two.
And I love your lettering too, of course.
Yes.
Thank you.
No, this is,
Now,
They're-
Lori,
they're
did you
doing
do
a
the background?
I
Oh, I'm
want to
sorry.
see how they do it.
The background,
The background, did you do that after you did the flowers or first?
I did it first.
First, okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
I say, so this is the Illinois Art League Plein Air Group. I arranged a art challenge for February. And the idea was to create a new piece from one that we had done, you know, out in the field. And so this is the one I did out in the field, and then the rest is leading up to the main one.
Oh, okay.
That's
Okay.
nice.
Here's the one oh, very nice, Miriam, putting a little insert there with the glass pen. So
Oh, yes.
I did the India ink first,
India ink, okay.
and this is called grisaille. I don't know if you ever heard of grisaille. That's what the old masters, a lot of the old masters did that with oils. They do it in black and white first and then put the color over top.
Yeah.
And I'd always wanted to try it. I tried the little bitty ones, but this is 20 by 8. And I liked doing the black and white, but I'm not sure it was that successful once I put the color on. So,
Very nice.
But that's beautiful.
and the glass pen, like I was saying, you can get those. They're everywhere. They're not expensive at all. I mean, you can get them for like $10.
You use them specifically with inks then, or what?
Yeah, well, you can use it with a lot of things. I mean, anything that you can make liquid enough to
Okay.
use.
So you
Oh.
could use it with watercolor as well then.
And I was amazed how long it lasts, because if you see those little grooves,
Yes.
the
Whirls.
Yeah.
liquid collects in those little grooves, and then it just goes and goes and goes. It's not like you
Wow.
have to keep dipping it very often.
You could really use that for detail then in watercolor, couldn't you?
Absolutely, yeah. That's what I used in this painting here.
Okay, yeah, I
Yeah.
like that. I'm gonna have to look into that.
And you can get a little more of an organic feel to the line compared to just like a metal dip pen.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's if you angle it or you do
Uh-huh.
different things, you know, and you can fill in really well. It'll, you know, if I wanted to fill in a big area, it fills in pretty good. Yeah, I
Well,
really like it. It's really
It's
fun.
a work of art in itself.
Oh, and
Yeah.
they have so
Beautiful.
many different ones. They're beautiful, different shapes, different colors, just,
I love
handmade ones. A lot of them are well, I think they may all be kind of handmade, but yeah. So
Lovely. Just,
I'm anxious to get a collection going.
yeah. Right.
So if you wanted to use it with watercolors, you'd need a little container with watercolor filled up about 1 inch deep in order to dip it in there, or do you take a brush and drip watercolor
could.
on it? How?
You could use a brush to put it on, yeah, but if you wanted to dip it, yeah, you'd have to have a little narrow thing. I just
I bought a
use
bunch of those little containers with lids. That'd be perfect for that.
they have companion things with them, and they're called a puddle or something. It's like little containers.
It's a very small container. It's probably inch and a half high, maybe the diameter is an inch or so, with little caps, and they work out. That'd be great for that.
So here's the
Medicine bottles.
here it is in my hand, so you can see the
Oh, yeah.
size.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just a normal size pen. Now this one has a nice, I don't know if you can see, it's
Yeah.
kind of flat.
Uh-huh.
So if you lay it down, it won't roll away.
Oh, nice.
Of course, it will break, you know, if it rolls on the floor.
Sorry.
And Debbie, she's not here.
Oh, panda.
I watched a show about pandas, and they have to eat 40 pounds of food every day just to survive.
Oh my God.
Wow.
A lot of eucalyptus.
Yep,
Or is that koalas?
Bamboo.
Bamboo.
bamboo, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, I think the
Okay.
eucalyptus is koalas.
Very
It wa-
pretty.
It was one of those days that I wanted to really do something. Cats jumping all around. I holding my paint on the air in my hand. My neighbors is knocking at the door. My husband says, "Oh, I don't know where she is." I said, I'm not here. I'm not here." But I just did it.
Very
Yeah.
Did you set it up as a still life?
Yes, it's
Yeah,
a still
great.
life.
Very good.
Very pretty.
Oh,
Very nice.
And I
Dog
wish
or dog?
Eileen could stay because she could answer questions about these dogs. I don't know the dog's name. She said that her daughter had requested that she do paintings of the dogs. And here's,
oh,
whoops, there's the second one.
Oh,
that's
Look at those eyes.
beautiful.
Very nice.
Beautiful.
Very nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
looks like she used toned paper for the second one.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
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 Okay. And
that's so
Barb, we've got
Oh,
beautiful.
pretty.
your pink peonies up, Barb.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Very soft.
Love peonies.
Yeah, beautiful.
And then we've got the bluffs at Seaside, Barb. You want to talk about that a little?
Yeah, I really didn't have anything in
And
mind.
next-
I looked on Pinterest and found a drawing, and so I kind of used that as a reference. And of course, I used this Hanamuki or whatever that water paper. I had never used that watercolor paper before, and I used the watercolor pencils and way too much white paint, obviously. I'm not real happy with the outcome, but at least it was an exercise to teach me how to use the pencils a bit better.
Tell us about that kind of paper.
It's kind of smooth on one side and it's got more teeth on the other side. I'd never used it before. I hadn't even seen it, but I thought I'd try it. Just
Is
something-
it cotton?
I think it has a bit of cotton in it, yeah.
Oh, cotton. Okay.
Please
I wouldn't use it a lot. I prefer Arches paper when I'm going to do something really.
What is the paper weight?
It's 140.
Well, how did you find out about it, Barb?
I get on Amazon or Blick and just look around sometimes to see if I can find any different products. I thought I'd just try it.
Okay. Thanks, Barb.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now this time we had a lot of hearts, so I love hearts, so I put them at the beginning. And I thought, well, maybe it would help people if we had sort of a theme or a focus. So I thought, since it's St. Patty's Day and we're all hoping for spring, I thought, let's try for green next time. So we'll see if y'all like having a focus. As I know the colored pencil group has a focus. Deborah, could you tell them a little bit about that and how your thought process goes sometimes when they give you a topic?
Well, thankfully, I don't have to do any of that. We actually have a hostess or host choose which month they want to do that in, and they choose the theme. We call it a theme, and we either follow the theme or not. We're an independent group, so we have our show and tell. But many of us need a little focus. I like that term you used, is to coalesce what we want to do. So
I
we
like
follow
the
it or
the
not.
focus. Yeah, I like the focus. That's a very good idea, I think.
And several people
Well,
in
I
this group are in the colored pencil group also, so they're familiar with that.
But give them an example of one of the ones and where your mind went, Deborah, because I find that really fascinating.
Are you thinking about a particular one?
No, just that you're not always literal with your interpretation.
Okay.
Oh,
For example, in January of this year, I was the host and I chose the theme of Fool, F-O-O-L. And so a number of people did jesters or fools, that kind of thing, and some other ideas, but I did not, of course. Yeah, I see Bev grinning. I figured out that fool means that I did what I wanted with the composition, not what my reference photo had. So I actually did towels hanging in my bathroom. But in reality, I have 2 towel racks, but I drew only one, and I moved the washcloths from one to the other. I moved the stuff sitting on the sink forward. I eliminated the cabinet and the wall. And so it's not, if you saw my bathroom, you would think, oh, that looks a little bit familiar, but it's not exactly like the drawing. So that was a real important for me thing for me to relearn, that each piece I do is my composition, what I want. And it doesn't matter what it has there, as long as I can make it look realistic. And by the way, I'm still looking at that to do more work on it for January. So
That's okay. And I think if, I don't care what you work on, I'd be glad to post anything, you know, you know, who was it that said, Pat, it was you. You said you didn't know we had a heart theme. Well, we didn't. I just chose it because I love hearts. But I like to put up any of our work, and I would like to put our show and tell up every time on Facebook, because a lot of you have just sent me things separate, or you put them on the IAL Facebook. So I just like to do that. Does anybody see a problem or feel uncomfortable with that if I would put the show and tell up on our Prairieland Watermedia Society Facebook?
No
problem.
No, not at
No.
all. Yeah.
it's a private
No.
group, so.
Nope.
Yeah, it's a private group. So I thought, let's just, you know, like Eileen, she didn't get to see her work on display, so she can go back now and she can see it when she goes on. Okay, well, let me check my to-do list here. Next month, we're gonna have Chris. And would you like to tell him what you're doing next month, Chris?
Okay, well, I don't know if you can see my hands. I've not been part of a crime scene. I've been making Pisanki dye. Obviously, I was in the red section of making them. So I'm going to demonstrate how I do Pisanki, the wax batik on the eggshell. I know some of you have done it. I was really hoping that like COVID would have gone completely away by now and we could have maybe done it in person, but we'll get a chance to do that another time. It's just not safe enough to do that just yet. And I could have had like a couple people and then Zoomed it, but where I do it, there's no internet, and so that doesn't work either. So I'll be doing a demo. If you really, really want to try it at home, I can make you up a little kit of stuff and get that to you. But which would be the writing tool, which is called a kiska, and some wax and an egg and maybe 2 things of dye. If you want to try it at home. If you don't, you know, I'm just making that as an option. You can kind of follow along. But if you just want to watch, I thought I would show how I do one, and then I'll also show a little bit of how I do the jewelry. I won't obviously do the cutting out part because you have to do that outside because it's very, there's egg dust flying everywhere. I one time thought, oh, I can do this in the house, and I didn't realize how much dust there was. So I'm only
going to get your calcium, huh?
Yeah. So I do that outside, and obviously now the weather's not cooperating. But I can show you a little bit how I do that process too, just to show you. You're not really going to be able to follow along. I thought about doing something with the rice paper, where you could kind of do it with the rice paper, but again, you would have to have wax to do that. And I don't know if everybody has that. So I think I'll just do the demo and answer any questions about it. I do still have my show going at the Time Gallery, where I have a variety of my paintings, and I also have a lot of my Pisanki, not all my Pisanki. I have a lot of chicken eggs because I didn't go to any shows last year. So, but I have some of my bigger ones. The ostrich eggs didn't fit in the case, so I have a poster of those. And I also have Pasanki that have been done by friends of mine. So you can see other people's work as well. So if you get a chance, go over to the Time Gallery and check that out. But that's what I'm going to do next month, is going to be a kind of a demo of Pasanki.
Sounds
Thanks,
wonderful.
That'd be
Chris.
good. That'd be good. I've always wanted to see your process.
We're going to turn it over to Lori.
Yeah.
Take it away, Lori. Thank you so much.
So this is the first time I've done this on Zoom. So my talk today is about watercolor and white gouache and watercolor metallics on toned and black paper. If I had thought about it, I would have narrowed that down a lot more, but I think we can get through it. So I think to start with, I want to show you the toned paper and the black paper that I have and that I use. So, and I wanted to know how many people are going to actually paint along with the demo today.
Do what you have to do.
I am.
Okay.
I am.
Okay, good. So a few people. All right. So I wanted to just go over kind of like supplies and materials first, and then we'll get in and I'll show you some samples and so on, and then we'll get into the demo. But what I really want to do first is show the little video I made, which is only like 30 seconds long. All right, can everybody see the video?
Yes.
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 Yep.
So here we
Oh,
go.
it's
It's only
very
like
small.
36 seconds long.
Make
So
it full screen.
It's a time lapse. So so here we go. So this is the demo I'll be doing today. And there it is.
Cool.
Very
So
cool.
that's what we'll be doing. All right, so
Now-
let's start. What's that?
It looks like you used a mist of water. Is that correct?
No,
Nope.
didn't use any Mr. Water.
Okay, that's
I
good.
used,
If that was not on our list, I don't have any. Thank you.
The only thing that was not on your list that you will need is a Kleenex. I figured, well, everybody surely have one of those. close by.
Yes. Get some.
All right, so here's the papers I have. Let's start with this one. Now I've played a little bit with this, but this is the lightweight, and it's just too lightweight to put any water on, as far as I'm concerned. There I did one, and it's not bad, but it's just not the same as using the heavier stuff. So I would not recommend. This is a
It says sketch paper.
Sketch paper.
80 pound. This is 80 pound. Now these are all Strathmore mixed media in the different colors, and they're all the it says 184 pound on the black. Oh, they're all 184 pound. I just assumed they were all 140, but they work pretty well. And then the tan. The tan is nice for for a lot of nature stuff, although I really like working on the gray. And if I go too fast with anything, just let me know. Now this is the Stonehenge actual black watercolor paper.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I have.
It definitely does better, but I don't like it. I'm really sensitive to, like, I don't like arches because it has this weird sticky feeling, not gummy, but sticky cactus feeling. And so I don't like that because, and partly because I use really soft brushes. So it's like, it like literally catches my brushes. But it does, the paint definitely works better on this actual watercolor paper versus the mixed media. So just wanted to put that out there. It's also a whole lot more expensive, but might be worth it in some cases if you want to trying to do a really nice painting. All right, that's the paper. I have my list up here, so I'm trying to read. Metallic watercolor. How many have metallic watercolors?
I
I
do.
I
do.
do.
Okay.
I do.
Now, all I have, I don't have like all the different colors, you know, like I don't have purple metallic watercolor or any of those. All I have is a set of all the metal type metallics. So this is the Kramer brand, which is the only one I have. I was going to try to get some others, and I thought I like these. There's no really any reason to spend any money on others. So this is what I use for my metallics.
There's always reason to spend money on art supplies.
I know, but there's
Amen.
I'd rather have, I guess.
Are the
Or
ma-
here's
Are the
my
metallic
contact.
watercolors opaque?
Semi-opaque, depending on how much you put down, because they actually got like mica powders and stuff in them. So if you put them on heavy, they are quite opaque. If you put them on lighter, then the metallic kind of distributes throughout the liquid, and then they're not as opaque. But
So do
still,
you
they
use it
have-
mostly
have-
as a glaze?
I have some samples here. I'll show you. I use them more as an accent most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, because they're actually a little hard to paint with, just like you would normally paint with watercolors. It's just a whole different thing. I have used a little bit of the tube metallics, and even I've got a couple of really good brands, and even those I don't really care for. They're much more transparent than these are. These are quite opaque if you use them heavy. The tube metallics, I don't know, I've just not been able to work with them very well. So this is some metallic stuff I've done here.
Wow.
Now,
Wow.
this is all combined with regular watercolors. I'm trying
Pretty.
to get the glare on there. There we go. There's some.
Mm-hmm.
There's one. Now this one I used more as an accent.
Oh.
See it, you know, accenting the bowl here. Let's see. Now here again, I use
Wow.
it as an accent, which I wish I could get more glare on it, but it's hard to.
It does,
Yeah.
actually.
And the snow and stuff is there's more of a pearlescent in there. It's not just a metallic, it's a pearlescent, and I put that over white gouache. And I thought that was fairly effective. Now this one I experimented with, trying to actually mix it and do a gradation with watercolor, and I think if it was a different paper, it might have worked better. This isn't the greatest paper, even though it's handmade paper. It's just, I don't really care for it that much, but you can see the, you know,
The shine, yeah.
it mixed in fairly well. It was, yeah, I don't know if I'd really pursue that much. Here's one that is all metallic along with, I think I must have used a gray pen. And then again, this one was just for accents. You can see the sparkles over here, and I did some pearlescent type stuff on the ribbon. So in my opinion, the metallics are best used minimally for accents, and you know, they do mix in with the watercolors okay if you want to go that far. Here is here's one of the moons I did with the metallic.
That's pretty.
It's okay,
Wow.
but the one I liked better was the moon with the white gouache, with metallic stars.
Wow.
That really works well.
I think some pearlescent in the moon would be fun too.
Yeah, I think I ended up, even that one I just showed you, if you look at it like I'm looking at it right now, you can actually see it kind of looks a little sparkly. So I think I just ended up getting some of my paint, some of my metallic paints mixed in with the gouache, which that's a warning. If you're going to try your metallics, you know, try not to get them mixed in with your watercolor. If you're using a pan, be very cautious about that. And the same with the gouache. Don't get your gouache mixed in with your pan watercolors. You can wash them off then if you want, but that's a lot of wasted paint. So you have to be really careful about not getting these things mixed, because the gouache and the metallic will just take over, absolutely take over. So here's the gouache. I have several different ones here. These are, I actually have several more. So I've used a lot of different ones. The difference in a lot of them is when they dry, some of them will not reconstitute. So, and a lot of your gouache is that way. It won't reconstitute well at all. So I like the M Graham, which is made with honey. So it actually reconstitutes pretty well. And then this one is actually watercolor. This is white watercolor. It's not as opaque as the gouache, but it, you know, works. And I know there's a lot of watercolor artists that, you know, they don't want to mix gouache in with their watercolors, so they use white watercolor, which frankly isn't a whole lot different than gouache. So it's just kind of a matter of preference. So then I also wanted to mention the difference between titanium and zinc. Now what they say is titanium is much more opaque than, and use your zinc actually to mix with. And I found that to be true to some extent. The titanium will really take over if you're mixing it with your watercolors. The zinc doesn't take over as quickly, but it also isn't as opaque. So my preference, and this is just my method, and this is something that you can try, is I work with the gouache, the white gouache, and then I often will put the watercolor color over the top of the white gouache. So that's pretty much the way I did this one.
Mhm.
And you have to go with a really light hand, because otherwise the gouache will pick up and then really mix with your color. Sometimes you want that. Sometimes you want it to mix. And that's the way I did this mostly, was white and then the colors over the top. And of course on your toned paper, just plain watercolor can work also. So a lot of times I'm just using plain watercolor and then adding gouache around it or whatever. So it's not always gouache on everything. So this was actually the little demo I was going to do for the for now, but I thought it might be a little too complex for you to do today.
Yes.
So, but I really enjoyed doing this. I mean, I actually had the garlic right here in front of me. So this is a still life looking right at the garlic. Huh, I would have thought that would go out of focus, but it doesn't.
No, it's beautiful.
Yes.
I love that.
Thank you. It was fun. And here's a little demonstration I did. I wanted to mention with the gouache. So this is wet in wet. So the gouache was wet, and then I put watercolor over the top. And so it kind of will blend in. Or you can put the watercolor on top after it's dry, and that's what it is right here. And you can start with the white gouache, or you can start with the dark watercolor and put the gouache over the top. So it's just, it's a matter of what you get used to, what you like to do. I probably use every one of these methods in every single painting. I don't have one particular way that I do that. It just depends on the subject and how dark it's going to be and so on and so forth. And then these are just samples of dropping wet in wet. So it's the white gouache wet with wet watercolor dropped in. And then this one is the wet watercolor with wet gouache dropped in. So that's some of the little experiments that you could do on your own, just to get a, get a feel for it and play around with it. It takes a lot of playing around. It's not like using watercolor, just watercolor. It's different than that. So let me check my notes here, see if I've covered everything. Oh, brushes. Wanted to talk about brushes for a second. I use the watercolor. My favorites are the silver black velvet.
Oh, yeah.
Now that's for watercolor. For gouache, that's not my favorite. Gouache is a little heavier. It's not as, it's not watery like watercolor. And those are just too soft. So I've gone to, for the gouache, I use just a stiffer. So like these are the black velvets. And you can just, you can see they're just so soft. Really, really soft. And so I've gone to a little stiffer. They're still called watercolor brushes.
Oh.
But I don't like most watercolor brushes because they're not soft like these. But the ones that I don't like, that I already have, they work great for gouache. So that's just a little tip on the brushes. And then also, I think if you're going to do a white gouache on tone paper with your watercolor too, I think choosing the right image has a lot to do with it also. And I can't really tell you how to choose that image, but I know I go through and I'll go, nope, I don't think that'll work. And yes, that'll work, but I can't really tell you how to choose an image other than, if it doesn't have very many light colors in it, then it's going to be difficult. All right, so here's the samples again of what we're doing today. This is one with the gouache and the metallic. This is all metallic. This is a mix again of the two. And this is just gouache, white gouache. And this is just white gouache, but this is the watercolor paper. And this is the watercolor paper. And the moon, I think, just worked better. You maybe can't tell on camera, but this is the mixed media in my right hand here.
Oh.
All are beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and they're so easy. I mean, literally, the first one took me like 10 minutes, and then the rest of them took like, well, now this one took a little longer because I got 3 planets in it, but still less than 10 minutes once you get going on them. I thought it was pretty darn good.
Yeah.
All right. So you ready for demo?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's do it. So we need paper.
Okay.
And we need a circle, something to trace around. I happen to have a circle template, which works really well. Backwards. There we go. And I use a white watercolor pencil, but frankly, graphite or anything would do the job. It's just that the white watercolor pencil actually helps to accent that edge of the moon. So I'm going to select the 2 1/4, nope, I'm going to go down to a 2-inch moon and just trace it onto my paper. And I would suggest positioning it off center. I mean, you don't really want it right in the center. That's kind of doesn't work real well. Aesthetically, it doesn't work well. All right. Now let's get our paint out here. Okay, so how many have white watercolor versus white gouache?
Yeah, that's what I have.
White watercolor?
Mhm.
Okay, is it everybody else have gouache, white gouache?
Gouache.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm
well,
using-
I'm gonna use
Watercolor.
the titanium. Well, I'm trying to decide whether to use the watercolor or no, I'm just gonna use the gouache. I'm gonna use the titanium. I don't think in this particular instance it really makes that much difference, with the exception of splattering. Your titanium is probably gonna show those splatters better. So I'm just gonna put a little out here on my plate.
Oh, yeah, that's
My little rag over here. Now, I prefer to splatter the stars first, because if you splatter them after you've got the moon done, then you've got stars on top of the moon, which to me would not be right, because the light of the moon,
It's closer.
yeah, overpowers the light of the stars, so you shouldn't be able to see the stars on the moon. I'm gonna put a piece of paper down. As you can see, if you can see my desktop here, I often don't put any paper down. I kind of like that, you know, my surface is all speckled. I have also speckles all over my computer and my phone. And actually there's splatters pretty much all over everything. It's okay, I don't mind.
You even have stars in your glass holding your tools.
What's that? Oh yeah.
Oh, yes, yeah.
I found 3 of these at a thrift store. I have 2 of them I use for water for acrylics. All right. Now, splattering. That's something that just takes some practice. Have all of you splattered before?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I had to actually play with, you know, some of my brushes to get the right splatter for the stars and everything. But what I do first is do tiny splatters. So that kind of, and I do it kind of at a diagonal, so you kind of create that galaxy look, you know, so that it's not just all even. You want kind of a bit of a, like a Milky Way look. So I found this one is kind of, ooh, still got some in it, I'd say. This is a little bit stiffer, so it makes smaller. It's stiffer, but got lots of bristles, so it ends up making smaller splatters. A toothbrush makes smaller splatters. So you just have to kind of experiment. I'm going to use this one. Oh,
Toothbrush.
I think I forgot to rinse this one out. Okay. So you don't want too much water, but yet you got to have enough water so that it will splatter. And that's another thing you just have to kind of work with. And you might even want to splatter out on your paper that you've got under it, so you can kind of see, you know, how it's doing before you put it on your good paper.
Okay.
So now I'm gonna just flick. I'm just flicking. I don't know if you can see that, kind of flicking. And you can make it as dense as you want, or just a few, or whatever. And then I'm going to use another brush to get larger ones. And remember not to leave your brush in the water. Oops, sorry, I'm
Yes.
bouncing. I do that accidentally every once in a while. It's like I'll have stopped painting and I will be running around the house and I come back to my table and go, oh my gosh, I left a brush in my water.
Uh-huh.
I hate that. Oh. All right, now another brush. Let's see, I can't remember what one I used before. I think I have found when I'm out doing urban sketching, I've actually found that square brushes I like almost better than round brushes for splattering. They just seem to do it differently. So now this one's a soft, much softer, and it's got fairly long bristles. And I think this might be the one that I used for larger splatters. We will see. I think I'm gonna have to start marking them and reserving them for splatters if I'm gonna do them a lot. So has everybody got their first stars done?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Okay. All right. So now I'm loading this one up. And I'm not going to be able to see on this white paper. Yeah, I can see. Okay. So the trick to me is to not get them oblong, you know, to get them more round. And there's different different angles that seem to work and some that don't work. That's probably good enough. And then I take a little bitty brush. I don't think this is the right one. A little brush with a nice, either a little brush with a nice point or a little brush with short bristles, or you can also do a toothpick. And then what you do is just drag out. So there's my stars. So I'm just going to drag out the little, wow, I can't see it. Drag out the little flares from the stars, from some of the bigger stars. And I do one going up, one going down, one to each side, and then a little bitty one in between. Yeah, my glasses aren't working real well. And again, that's something that, you know, you kind of have to practice and get better at, and having enough paint on your brush helps. You know, if you're doing really fast, the blob of paint for the star is usually wet enough that you can just pull it out. But if it's not wet enough, then you got to put some on your brush. And so there you can see.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and I just realized I actually intended to do the metallic for the stars, but oh well, that's fine. You guys can try that on your own. So you can do, you know, as many as you want with the flares, but I would just kind of distribute them around and not do too many, because if you do too many, then it's not special.
That's true.
Right. That goes along with a lot of things. I mean, I get carried away with when I'm out painting, doing some splatters, and then I end up, you know, the whole thing is splattered, when it would have looked a lot better if it didn't have so many splatters on it. It's easy to get carried away. And you could even make, you know, bigger than this, bigger, you know, 1 or 2 bigger stars if you wanted. I have been known to go ahead and like maybe the balance wasn't quite right. So maybe I just take some paint and put it somewhere. Maybe I put one right here, just with my brush. Kind of a big one here. And you could even go back with the gold after it's dry, go back to the gold and put just in the middle of those stars. All right. Does anyone not have their stars done? And you can always go back and add more stars if you want after the moon is done.
Okay.
All right, ready for the moon?
Yes.
Okay, that's the fun part. The moon, I mean, I was just playing around with this. It was like, okay, I want to do something. And so I did it and it was like, oh, wow, this just kind of like paints itself, you know, it's just really cool. So with the moon, well, the first thing I do is I kind of go in with some water and kind of disturb those blobs that are stars, just so they're not so prominent. And then I grab some gouache, just kind of a creamy, remember all those different, what was it, Holly? We had the
tea and the
yeah,
milk, tea and coffee, milk and butter or something like that.
Yes, yes.
So the mine
It
is
should be creamy.
cream.
Yeah, cream, yeah.
Yeah, cream was on. And then I just go in and carefully paint inside. You don't have to do it fast because this gouache will re-wet, and you can just really work with it even after it's dry. So you just go in and carefully paint. You can even leave some black areas. You don't even have to cover all of it. I usually go around the edge so it's all painted. Now you notice I'm using a flat brush as opposed to a round one. And I just more and more I'm using flat brushes for things. I'm finding they're very adaptable. I used to always think, oh, I could only paint with rounds. With the exception of acrylic, I paint with flats with acrylic quite a lot. Now, something I have not done on these moons that you could do is add, you know, well, I don't know, maybe there wouldn't be on moon, but you know how there's flares, you know, on the sun.
Sure, yeah.
And you could actually maybe do a flare on the side of the moon. I don't know. Okay. So that's all the paint I'm really going to put on, I think. Does everybody have their paint on?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to rinse out my brush.
I should
Got
do
real
that.
good. But and you want it fairly, you want it more than damp, but you don't want it sopping wet. So like, you know, just like rub it off on the edge of your water thing. And then I just go in and start moving this around. And once I get it wet again, I just dab it with the Kleenex until I get it the way I want it. And I kind of crunch it up so it's got little edges, you know, on it. You know, so it's not just a round or a flat piece of.
Oh, I see.
And if there's areas that didn't get enough modeling, you just wet it.
Wow, that's cool.
Isn't that neat? I mean, it just
Yeah,
paint itself. It's just,
that's very, yeah,
just try not to get your Kleenex on the
yeah.
part of the paper, because then it'll put a ghostly impression. So keep kind of turning it a little bit.
I
So
think that's perfect.
yeah, and then you can, I go back in too, and you know, the moon has kind of like little round areas. I get a clean Kleenex and I'll go in and maybe pick up some little round areas. And I've been known to go back in again because I didn't like the way it looked, and add a little bit of, maybe add a little bit of paint, maybe take a little paint out, and then just, yeah, kind of keep going until it's the way I want it. Gonna make some of these bigger black areas round, and yeah, you could even
That's
Cool, very cool.
carefully do one to look like a face if you wanted, you know, man and moon.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it, other than signing it. And I have figured out what I like to sign with. And it's a Faber-Castell white pip pen. It's not one.
Out of Zoom.
It's not focusing very well.
Can we do it with just gel pen? White gel pen?
I just like mine really thin, so I use the chisel.
Oh, okay.
And I use just the corner of the chisel.
Oh, okay.
And that works for me, works pretty well. Actually, I'm gonna put it over here, I think.
Yeah.
There we go.
Cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
I plan to do a bunch of those and fasten them on cards and sell them as note cards.
That'd be nice.
Good idea.
I'll do the metallic stars probably, because those do look really cool. All right, so I'm going to go back. Oh, I thought I had that turned off. Ah, I'm still there.
Yeah, you
I
are.
think you could make a greeting card, you know, I'm over the moon for you, or something like that.
Oh, yes, that's cute. Or you could moon somebody too.
You've been mooned.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lori. That was very cool.
Yeah, I liked it.
Different technique, and also it's very enjoyable. The process, I really like it.
Yeah.
So any other questions?
Oh, that was perfect.
I think it's really nice. I like it.
How do you get the paint off your computer?
What's that?
How do you get the paint off your computer? I covered it up, but I guess I missed some stuff.
I just use, like, between the keys and stuff, I'll use a
Q-tip.
Q-tip.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was days.
And otherwise, I mean, usually water takes most of it off, and frankly, I just don't care.
Don't
As long as the
put
computers don't
water
work.
on the keys.
Yeah, you don't want. Yeah, I don't want to drip water down in them.
Damn.
Right.
I
no.
had one button that was sticking. One of the letters was sticking really bad, and it was like, oh boy, now what am I going to do? And I got to looking, and I could see a tiny little piece of salt down
Oh,
in there,
gosh.
cracks. And so I just took
Wow.
a toothpick and really worked at it and got it out, and everything was fine. So, yeah,
I just use a little alcohol pad to clean mine.
that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
Well,
right.
got mine done.
Oh,
Good.
can you
Let's
show
go
up?
see 'em.
Yeah.
Hold it up so we can see.
All right. So show.
Okay,
Show
here's
Deborah.
Here's
There's
mine.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh,
Deborah.
nice,
Oh, wow.
Deborah.
Very nice.
Oh, Deborah,
Hang on,
yours
Deb.
almost looks like the Big Dipper a little bit. Nice.
Ooh, good for me.
Yeah.
I didn't do it that way. I was
Yeah.
just blathering away.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Lori.
Constellations in it. Yes.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Fun.
And who else has one?
I have one too.
Oh,
Put yours up again, Pat.
So there's
Good.
Holly.
I like your stars.
Yeah.
Nice, Holly.
Hang on, I can't
Yeah.
get Holly up.
Such a lovely mat on it. How nice.
Yes.
oh
you
yes,
know,
Holly. So nice.
Very nice.
Oh,
Very
yeah,
nice.
I
Yeah.
use,
Chris.
instead of any paint, I just use the iridescent medium. It's watercolor from Winsor Newton.
Oh.
I use that become very shimmery for my moon and some of the speckles. And for the rest, I use the, what's that? This brand, the Japanese one for metallic color.
Right? Is it
It's
koi?
koi
Koi.
water. Yes, but these are very transparent. You know, if you want to get a shimmer, it's not like yours. But I love those too because sometimes you want to be opaque. I love those too. But with this medium, I really like it because in acrylic, when I paint, sometimes I use, and I got excited when I found it for the watercolor too. But I haven't seen it for a longest time. I think it wasn't very popular. Anyway.
All right. So
Holly.
Pat,
What?
Sorry.
Holly, you showed a bottle of Winsor Newton medium.
Yes. It's
How
the
do you
iridescent.
open those bottles?
What?
It's very hard to open.
Oh, you should push it down and
Yeah.
then twist it. You have
For
one
an
of
hour?
those?
What?
You know, push it down, push on the cap down, and then twist it.
Yeah.
It's just like some of the medicine bottles.
Yeah.
Child-proof.
For 1 hour, I've been trying to open this.
You
but
push it down.
I'll keep trying.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then twist it. It says, push it down, press it down. No, press it down. Yes, and then twist it. But with
Oh.
Thank you.
Oh.
You're welcome.
So Pat, did you do one? Did you do
Yes,
one?
I showed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get to see it.
I didn't see you
Wow.
here.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Oh, very pretty. Yeah.
Do you see the little spaceship?
Oh, yeah.
Landing on a star.
That's another good idea too.
That's very
I couldn't-
good. Yeah.
Once I made that line, I couldn't get it off. So I,
Satellite, you could put satellites, gold.
Yeah.
yeah.
Satellite. Yeah, cool.
Did Chris, did one of yours have you had the one with the 3 planets, you did each planet in a different color?
Yes, she did.
What? Oh, you talking about mine?
Yes.
Here, let me grab it here.
That's really cool too. I love that.
Yeah.
I can't see myself. I can't see where I'm holding this up.
No, you are
Good.
perfectly fine.
That's real nice.
Is
Yeah.
that-
Yeah, I
can you
love
see-
that
Good.
too.
Can you see that sparkle?
Yes.
Yes.
Ooh, man, the lights must just be coming in just right. But yeah, I don't know. I decided, I wanted more than one planet. And so now if anybody asks me which planets are those, I have no clue. I'd have to
Well,
look
Maybe
it up.
There are
that's it.
billions out there.
The red one is Mars because it's red.
But,
Oh, yes.
is Venus red? I
No,
don't-
Mars is red.
Mars is red?
Mars
Yeah,
is
you're
red,
right.
yeah.
Ours is red.
And then Linda pointed out, what'd you say about today? How many
Oh.
years ago?
Today, in 1930, today, a student found Pluto, what do you call Planet Pluto? And then in 2006, it was unplaneted or whatever you call it, you know.
Oh,
But it was today, yeah, just for Lori's show.
wow.
I guess I picked the right thing. How, that's kind of coincidental because I didn't know about that. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, it just came up on my screen this morning. Yeah. What about Miriam? Didn't Miriam do one?
Yeah.
Today? Oh,
Wow.
let me see.
Ah,
Wow. That's
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, yes.
It's watercolor. And I wanted to let you know about Fine Tech pearlescent colors. I had that real small set when we were at Deb Pullen's house. I had little tiny puddles of pearlescent, and I found out at Dick Blick, you can buy these pearlescents. They're in pans, and they come out. You can buy the empty pan, and they have, I don't know, probably 3 dozen colors. So I went back and I ordered, this was a prepared set of metallics that my son got me for Christmas. But I went back and I got blues and purples and different shades of red because I wanted those colors. And they're really intense compared to the cheap sets. I like the cheap sets too because there's so many shades, but these are, they're really, they have a lot of good workability compared to the cheap sets. And I know what
Yeah.
Laurie was saying about how the pearlescents, you sort of have to get used to working with them because the pearlescent in them will settle. If you take too long working on your paper and you go back to it, you have to stir it a little bit in the pan. But I just thought you'd like to see, because these are just sort of fun. And now if you buy one of these, it's $7.60 a color.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty pricey, but as much as I love them, I sprang for a whole
These-
other batch of them.
These are about $10 per
Wow.
thing. Yeah, I got
Each-
the set.
Per color?
Yeah, per color. I got the set, so it was less. But yeah, they're
Yeah.
about $10. So that's really, if they're good, that's not bad at
Yeah.
all.
This set was, I went to Blick's and bought, no, this one's my son got me, but it was, the one I got, it's all pearlescent, opalescent, and you look at it and you can hardly see the color, but if you use it on black, the color shows through.
Right.
And that was $27 and it was for 6.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what brand was that, Miriam?
Pardon? Fine Tech.
Fine Tech. Okay, thanks.
But
You're
you know,
welcome.
this
And-
one I use, it's a iridescent, you know, it's different than
Yeah.
pearlescent. This is a iridescent, which is, I like it.
you should
No,
be
no.
able to mix that with your watercolor.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. And if you put, the good thing about this is if you put it base color and you can go over it with this, but you should be careful not go too heavy because it can cover it. It's quite thick. You know, it doesn't act like an accent that Lori showed, because if you go heavy on that, it just covers the main color that you had underneath. You should, maybe if you water it down a little bit, but it gives a good shimmer on the top.
Yep, it's all fun to play with for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anybody have anything else they want to share? Any
Mm,
questions?
Getting
Thank you,
worried.
everybody, for coming.
Yeah, thank you. And
Yeah,
I'm getting
thank you.
worried for
You.
my
Thank you,
cat.
Lori.
Thank you to Lori.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Lori.
Thank you,
Lori.
Lori.
Thanks, Lori.
Thanks,
Good job.
Miriam.
Oh, Lori.
Fun.
Okay,
Good
bye-bye,
job.
everybody.
Bye.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Miriam.
Lori.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Lori.
Bye.